Hello, how are y'all doing today? I'm back again, reading out of the book of Expert Secrets. And we're going to be talking about tonight, who do you need to become as a leader? J. Abraham once said that people are slightly begging to be led. And I believe that is true. So how do you become that type of leader they need? I've come up with a few rules you can follow to become a charismatic leader for your movement. Rule number 1, become attractive character and live the life your audience wishes they could live. In Secret Power number 6 of my first books, .com Secrets, I talked about a concept called the attractive character. Remember we talked about the attractive character? We went deep into figuring out backstory, character flows, identity, storylines, and more. This is the attractive character right here, as you can see. The attractive character elements. Number 1 is backstory. Number 2 is parables. Number 3, character flaws. Number 4, polarity. Those are the elements of the attractive character. So you can write those down if you would like. Identity. Number 1, the leader. Number 2, the adventure crusader. Number 3, the reporter and the evangelist. Number 4, the reluctant hero. Excuse me. Well, we'll be digging into some of the elements like identity and storylines throughout this book. But I do recommend reading .com Secrets to get a deeper understanding of the attractive character. The key is to understand that people will follow you because you have completed the journey that they are on right now. And that's the journey I'm on right now. And you can be on this journey as well. And they want to result you have already achieved. They want the results that we've already achieved. They want to become like you. The gap between where they are themselves and where they see you is what moves them to action and helps them to make the necessary changes. So if you aren't willing or don't show them both sides, where you came from and where you are now, they don't want to take action. You got some want to take action, and you have some that will take action. That's why it's so important to live the life that your audience wishes they could, because that will inspire them more than anything you could ever say. Sometimes it's crazy to become unreliable and show your backstories as well as your life now. But it's the key to becoming a leader that will inspire people to change. Rule pound number 2. Maintain absolute certainty. It is said that in any situation, the person with the most certainty wins. I'm not talking about self-confidence. As my buddy Samantha Galley says, self-confidence is for kids. If you want to make an impact, you have to be certain. You have to be certain about what you do. Certainty is what draws people to leaders, to experts. Gaining certainty can take time. It begins with you sharing your message often so you can find your voice and become certain in what you are teaching. The more you share your message with others, the more certain you will become. That's why I encourage people to publish their own messages and their stories daily throughout podcasts, Facebook, blogging, Snapchat, or any other platform you prefer. Some of you are better writers and blogging will become your platform. Others are better through audio or video. and will likely be using platforms like podcasts or Facebook Live. The platform is less important than the consistency of your sharing. Years ago, I was trying to understand what my mission was and where I fit in my ecosystem. I set out on a journey to discover my voice. I started doing a podcast almost every day. I was publishing videos on Facebook Live, Periscope every day, even when no one was listening. It's important to understand that when you first start, you are not posting these for your audience. You're posting them for you. Eventually, people will start to follow, but initially, it's so you can discover your voice. Publishing daily is important because you will quickly see what topics and ideals people respond to and what they don't. Soon, you'll become better and better creating and posting things that people care about the most. As you do that, your audience will grow. You will become more confident and your message will become clear. Over time, that consistency will give you absolute certainty and you will become your message. Rule pound number 3. Don't be boring. Your audience must be fascinated with you and what you teach. If you are boring, they're not going to connect with you. I've watched a lot of experts come and go over the past 10 years, and I have spent a lot of time trying to figure out why some of them last and others don't. The one thing I've noticed across the board with all experts who had success and stayed relevant is that they are highly profit. When I say profit, some people think I'm talking about producing a lot of content. While that is true, there is another definition for prolific. The word prolific. Someone who has abundant inventiveness. They invent new, unique ideas all the time. That's the type of prolific I'm talking about here. To make the biggest impact on most people and the same. Time make the most money. It's vital that you fit your message into the sweet spot on what I call the prolific index. And this is the prolific index right here. And on the prolific index, you have crazy, prolific, mainstream, prolific, and crazy. In the middle of the prolific index is the mainstream. This area contains all the ideas currently being taught to the masses in traditional mediums. For example, if you were a weight loss expert, the mainstream advice hovers around the government recommendations like the 4 food groups or the food pyramid for nutrition. While some of these principles may be good, I'd argue that others are flat out lies. Even if you believe those things are true, you aren't going to get anywhere teaching mainstream advice that people are currently getting elsewhere for free. People can go to school and learn about all this stuff. It's common sense. It's not exciting. There's no money in the mainstream. Now, on both ends of the spectrum are what I call the crazy zones. There are plenty of experts who live in the crazy zone. And while you can always recruit a few people into the crazy zone, it's difficult to get the masses to take action all the way to the left or the right. One of my favorite examples of the crazy zone is weight loss. World was a documentary I watched called Eat the Sun. In this movie, they talked about how people can stop eating and just gaze at the sun. Ain't that amazing? Yes, stop eating completely and just look at the sun. Kind of crazy, ain't it? Well, the documentary did get me to spend a few minutes gazing at the sun, but I'm not crazy enough to give up food 100%. And I don't think anyone is going to make millions teaching that concept. As a side note, I did actually love that movie, and that's the movie he was talking about. The sweet spot, the place where you will impact the most lives and make the most money, is right in the middle. Somewhere between the mainstream advice and the crazy zone is where you want to set yourself up. I call this place is the prolific zone. When you're there, you're relaying ideas that are so unique people will notice. One of my favorite teachers in the weight loss niche is Davey Asprey from bulletproof.com. His organ stories fall perfectly in the prolific zone. One day he was climbing Mount Kala in Tibet and stopped at a guest house to the shelter from 10-degree weather. He was given a creamy cup of yak butter tea that made him feel amazing. He tried to figure out why he felt so good. He soon discovered it was from a high-fat tea. So he started adding butter and other fats to his coffee and teas. Oh, wow. Have never tried that before. Butter? This experience eventually helped him create a national phenomenon called Blueprint Coffee. Phenomenon called Blueprint. People put butter and coconut oil in their coffee to lose weight and feel amazing. Ain't that something? We learn something new every day. Putting butter and coconut oil in their coffee to lose weight and feel amazing. For those of you who are just hearing this for the first time, it may seem a little crazy, but not so crazy that you completely dismiss it. And it's definitely not something the government is going to recommend. Bulletproof coffee falls directly into the prolific zone, and its message has made Dave a multimillionaire. That is so awesome. Did you notice how this message caused some polarity? The mainstream will probably hate it, yet there is something interesting there. When Dave tells the rest of his story and can back it up with science, it becomes a message that spreads quickly. When your message causes polarity, it attracts attention and people will pay for it. Neutrally, it's boring, and rarely it's money made or change created when you stay neutral. Being polar is what will attract raving fans and people who will follow you and pay for your advice. And here's the crazy zone. Excuse me. Here's the crazy zone he was talking about. Polarity, neutral polarity, crazy, profile, mainstream, profit, and crazy. As you become more polar in your message, you will also notice that people on the other side of your message won't be happy about it. By creating true fans, you will always upset those on the other side. I wanted to warn you about this earlier because often people, including me, really struggle when others get upset or disagree with their ideas. And sometimes you're going to have people that get upset with your ideas, but you're going to have to move forward because you can't please everybody. For every 100 true fans who follow you, you will likely get one person who doesn't like you. And for some reason, they always seem to be the loudest. If you search my name or anyone's name who has tried to create change in others, you'll find tons of fans as well as people who don't like us. It's just nature of being a true leader. You've got to become okay with that because without polarity of message, you can't get your true fans and help create the change they need. One tip I learned from Dan Kennedy that helped me cope with the small percentage of haters who will disagree with your message was this: if you haven't offended someone by noon each day, then you're not marketing hard enough. And that's the truth. Because somebody will get offended in the process. And J. Abraham said, if you truly believe that what you have is useful and valuable to your clients, then you have a moral obligation to try to serve them in every way possible. And that is why I am so aggressive in marketing. I honestly feel like I have moral obligation to share my message. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to share a message because it changed my life. I know it can do the same for others as well. I want to start thinking about your niche. Remember we talked about having a niche. A niche is your product. What do you teach? And where is it on the profit index? Many times people are either playing it safe with the mainstream or they are way out in crazy land where there is no money. You need to find your sweet spot between middle and crazy land. Rule pound number 4. Understand how to use persuasion. Throughout this book, you will learn how to persuade people. In fact, everything you learn in both sections 2 and 3 of this book are all about persuasion. But before we get too deep into that, I want you to understand the core foundation of persuasion. One of my favorite books on the topic is the One Sentence Persuasion course by Blair Warren. Blair is a persuasion expert who spent over a decade studying and using persuasion. During that journey, he broke down exactly how to persuade people in one simple sentence. People will do anything for those who encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allow their fears, confirm their suspicions, and help them throw rocks at their enemies. And help them throw rocks at their enemies. When I first read that, it made such a big impact. I wanted to remember it forever. So I made this graphic as a reminder. One sentence persuasion. And here's the graphic that he made. One sentence persuasion. And on that one sentence persuasion, you have encourage dreams, justify failures, allow fears, throw rocks at enemies, and confirm suspicions. Here is a quick recap of why each of these is so important. I included Blair's explanation as well because he explains these concepts so masterfully. Encourage their dreams. As the leader, As the leader, it's vital that you first understand your audience dreams. Then encourage them to the new opportunity you are creating for them. Parents often discourage their children's dreams for their own good and attempt to steer them toward more reasonable goals. And children often accept this as normal until others come along who believe in them and encourage their dreams. When this happens, who do you think has more power, parents or strangers? And then justify your failures. On the next topic, we'll be reading about justify your failures. Most people who become followers and then fans will have tried to make a change before. You will not be first person they have tried to learn from. For some reason, they didn't get their needs met from any prior encounters. It's important that you take the blame for past failures off your shoulders and place it back onto the old opportunities they attempt in the past. This way, they will be more open to trying your new opportunity. While millions cheer Dr. Phil as he tells people to accept responsibilities for mistakes, millions are looking for someone to take the responsibility off their shoulders, to tell them that they are responsible for their lot in life. And while accepting responsibilities is essential for gaining control on one's life, assuring others they are not responsible, it's essential for gaining influence over theirs. One needs to look no further than politics to see this powerful game played at its best. And the next reading I'm going to do, it will be reading about allay their fears. And I hope you got some education on tonight. And we will begin reading out of Expert Secrets again on tomorrow. And I hope you took notes and wrote them down. And that's going to help you along the way in this process. And have a good afternoon.